Welcome everybody out to the Late Night Facecheck. My name is Valcomer, and today we are joined with Kian of Clouded Minds. Kian, thanks so much for being on the program.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So now I know that you're of Clouded Minds fame, and I just let that out to everybody, but how long have you been with Clouded Minds now?
I've been on Clouded Mind since season 12. I would say for 90% of my competitive HOTS experience. So I haven't been playing for super long, but I think it's a good amount of time.
And the team has definitely had some sister teams spawn from it. Of course, I want to say there's Daybreak and After Dark right now. Am I missing any?
Not currently. I believe it's just Daybreak right now, actually.
Oh, got it. Okay. And I don't even know how long Clouded Minds has been around, but I feel like they're somewhere in the realm of like season 8 or something like that. Were you on a team before Clouded Minds or just Clouded Minds in NGS?
So I ended up joining a free agent team for Heroes Lounge uh, way back. I would probably say around season 8 time for NGS. And then um, I stopped, and then a year passed, and then I was just kind of like, I kind of want to get back into playing again. It was fun, so I looked for some teams, and one of my old teammates, Track6, got me into Clouded Minds. I tried out with them, and they accepted me.
Very nice, very nice. And I know Clouded Minds has, at the very least, I remember them winning, I think it was Division D Grand Championship at one point. Are there any other Grand Championship victories that I should remember and I'm struggling with right now?
So before my time, I think they've won Grand Champion of D twice. But since then, our best result has been a Coastal Championship for C West.
Hey, that's pretty good. I've been around the league for 10, 12 seasons and I've made it to the Coastal Finals once. So, a Coastal Championship is great. So, and that was C West you said?
Yes.
And was that season 15 or 16?
I believe that was season 14.
Oh, 14.
Mhm.
So, but still, now this is your seventh season with the team because you said you started in 12. I know because we've played a few times that you've been both off lane and tank, and I believe this season you're kind of slotted for off lane, but that doesn't mean you're locked in there, right?
Right. We may be doing some switching around this season. We haven't quite figured it out just yet, but we're working on it.
And of the two, have you preferred being the tank or the off laner?
I would say the offlaner, just because tanking was very interesting. As I'm sure you know, doing that plus shot calling, I kind of jumped into the role last season, and I had to learn everything on the fly. It took a while, and then we had some new members on the team, and that first month was brutal, being the tank. Just kind of trying to call things and mesh the team together. But once we started winning, it felt a lot better, and it felt pretty good.
Nice. I have a lot of fun as tank, so I've really only played tank in competitive play. Though I do have a win as Rainer under my belt many seasons ago, just one. But I'm undefeated as Rainer apparently. Um, but it's definitely a difficult task to take on, and as you were trying to apparently lead the team because you were saying shot calling and such, that's a lot of responsibility and it gets tricky sometimes. But I know that I played against you last season and we even talked about it some, and I think overall you still had a pretty good record coming out of season 17 there in C West.
Absolutely, I consider last season a success for sure. We were just below 50%. We were 15 and 16 that season, and we made it to the playoffs, which was our goal. And from the playoffs, anything can happen.
Absolutely. We definitely saw some great storylines in C West last season. Was it a surprise to you to end up in B West this season with how everything shook out?
Well, um, kind of. I was expecting to be in C West again, just because we ended up right in the middle. But looking at a lot of the teams, it just seems like a lot of C teams have moved up to B. So I don't consider this division to be a whole lot different from last season's.
I think I actually mentioned this in the episode with Sound, but I jokingly call it BC West. Um, and if you ever look at my analyst reports from the analyst side before I post them, they're all in the BC West Season 18 channel. So um, now it, this this might be a question that's too dangerous for me to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are there any teams that you are just gunning for this season?
Mm, I think uh, it's pretty much the teams that we've had kind of a rivalry with, because starting in all the way even back in 12, it's a lot of teams have been in the same division together for a long time. CCS, Roll One, um, I believe is Bork on in our division.
Yes, they are. Bork is back
Them
in our division.
and two. Just when you play teams over and over again throughout the seasons, you kind of get a feel for who they are, how they play. So we want to we as Clouded Minds want to do our best against them.
Sure, sure. Um, Now, how would you describe the Clouded Minds style? Because I feel like I've played against Clouded Minds, I think 5 or 6 times in NGS now, and I feel like there's always a few surprises in the mix.
So I think it totally depends on who is leading the team at the time. I know under Star, because Star Knight was our captain and shot caller for a long time, we were generally a very kind of stable team. We would wait for mistakes and then go after that. But under my leadership last season, I was a very aggressive shot caller. I hated when teams took fights to us. I would much rather take it to them. And of course, got us into trouble sometimes. You can't.
Sure, that happens.
It's tricky to play that style, and not slip up a couple times. And this season, it's back to Rob. Jugger Rob is our tank, and yeah, I think we're kind of finding it out as we go, still a little bit. But I do like him a lot, and I think he's going to do a great job.
Very nice, very nice. Now, was Rob in off lane primarily last season, or was he more subbing last season?
He was our offlaner last season.
Okay. So he just said, "You take tank for a season, I'll take off lane," and now you've decided to probably swap those back. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So, and Rob's been around the league for a long time too. I actually wonder. I'll have to go back through the late night face check. I don't know if I've interviewed Rob or not, but I kind of think I might have. I don't remember. Um, it's the late night face check started in something like season 9, though some seasons have been more consistent than others. It's just how life goes, I guess. But uh, from what I could see, you have the same core group as last season. Accurate?
Yes.
And I did notice a notification. It looks like Nolius has joined the team as of this week. Accurate?
He is.
I I call him Weiss because he has an alt that is Zerois or Nolius, and I say it looks like it's Weiss, or
Yeah.
French we. Not that I know French, but it's a fun way to tease Nolius. So, long-term player for NGS. I know he's played tank. I know I've seen him in damage plenty of times in Storm League, and I've definitely seen him play off lane. So a lot of flexibility for helping fill in, I imagine, brought there.
Yeah, we've actually known him for a long time. I think he plays around in all of the groups, but he was playing with Clouded Minds a lot when I first joined. So I was always confused of why he wasn't part of one of our teams, but here he is, and we're very glad to have him.
Very nice, very nice. And then there's Terrorsaur, who's a damage player. Muffin Man, or as my cast last week called them, Muffian Man, is primarily healer. We already talked about Rob on tank, or Jugger Rob. You're in the off lane. And then the other damage, whose name I should know, is Ruffian, correct?
Correct.
Nice. And a lot of those have been Clouded Minds players for a long time with you. A lot of stability in the roster, great team, and I think there's just an awful lot of prowess and threat there, even to where really it's anybody's season, right? You could still go on a run, and I think that's one of the great things about NGS is some of the great teams and some of the longevity there, and people trying to solve that puzzle of how do we best this next team with our scouting reports and so forth. So is yeah, I guess I don't really ask that enough. Is there anybody who's necessarily like the scouter on your team, or is it more of a team effort? Or
I think it's a team effort. It's always been Star, but since he kind of moved into a sub role a couple seasons back, I took on that role last season just because I like to know who I was going into as tank. But you know, Rob contributes a lot. Nolius has contributed for this week, and I'm sure he will, just because he knows everyone.
sure.
Um, and I think it's just mostly us three really looking at it.
Nice. Well, I expect great things from the team. Now, you were nice enough to provide me with a highlight clip, which I'm going to click over to here. Everyone got to see behind the curtain for a brief moment there because I'm not fast enough with such things. But this is a game from last season. I actually mostly watched this on my phone, so I couldn't see the opponents. Who are you playing here?
This is Rolling Thunder from last season, and
Got it.
this is from my recording, and I didn't have one of those fancy audio things that like kind of muffle it a little bit. So you'll hear my keyboard a bit, but this was Rolling Thunder, and it was kind of we were both in the middle of the pack here, so it was a very important game.
And this is a big boss play, so let's see how it goes.
Fuck us.
I'm on my
They're
way.
all back.
I'll have,
Every
I'll have cage in 15 and 10.
I have bunker up, so
I love the comms
bunker
talking
down
about
immediately.
cage and bunker.
Remember, like bunker. Here
Okay.
they come. Here they come.
We're not
Oh,
fast on this at all.
This might be
Dex.
dangerous, guys.
yep. Yeah.
He's
We need
cocooned.
to-
He's cocooned.
What are we doing? Do you want us to finish?
Yeah, they can't get through that.
I actually really love the cage
I'm on it.
placement because of the knockback just keeping them
That was a
away.
Fight, fight,
great
fight, fight,
job,
fight,
dude.
fight,
Great
fight.
job.
Definitely helped a lot there.
All right, get out if
Bunker
you
going
can.
down.
Double stun
And
in 3 seconds.
I'm also
Three.
amazed
Kerrigan,
you're not
Kerrigan,
dead.
Kerrigan.
Me too.
So
Every
very
time
good
I look.
Muffian man. And a fantastic pull, and the shield, and then the re-engage
It ran.
again, and just
Yeah.
wow, hitting
All right,
everybody
push the boss,
there,
push the boss.
and
Kill him,
just
kill him.
doing so
Remember,
well.
remember.
Oh my god. Good job.
And I kind of wonder,
Every
I
cooldown.
can't remember, did you end up chasing down the Rhaegar, or does he get away? Oh, he gets away.
I think he gets away.
He does. And everyone got to see some of my YouTube playlist intermingled with my kids, which kids are wonderful, but they're also monsters when it comes to YouTube. But great comms. Everybody's super active. You got the cage. You got the big heal. Now, you know the voices. I don't necessarily. Who screamed fight, 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 fight as the ancestral was coming out?
It was me.
Because that point, it's so easy for teams to just be like, look, we got the boss, let's walk away. But now the ancestral's landing by the skin of your teeth. Again, amazed that you're not dead. Good work, Muffin Man, keeping Kian alive. And with that, you were able to have enough retreats where either the Kael'thas or you as the Anubarak got backwards. I even think the Maiev went forward and back throughout that fight a couple of times, getting the Umbral Binds and throwing the Fan of Knives and dodging damage here. I didn't notice, but I'm sure there was a vault somewhere in there. Great chaos, but you pulled it off and didn't lose a single person throughout it somehow. So props to Muffian Man for that. And I love Terrorsaur's cage. I don't actually remember the bunker, but I believe there was a bunker in there too. But we were watching you, so it's possible that you backed up and the bunker was forward somewhere.
It was. Rob was definitely in there as the Blaze, and they had a very the aggressive comp, right, with the Kerrigan, the Sonya Leap, and so it was I even called out my stun. I said a double stun in 3 seconds, and then, you know, I was a little worried. I was walking along with the Hyperion, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna kill me." So I came back, and then um, it was a lot of panic, and it was a very risky fight, risky decision. Like I said, aggressive calling. We weren't even 20 when we made that fight.
Yeah, an 18-19 fight, and so it was the fight they wanted pre-20 that in theory you wanted to avoid, but you came away with 4 kills to 0. And I assume that ended the game thereafter with the boss push and them all dead.
Right. That was the fight that would determine who won or not. Because we didn't have a keep down there at that point either. So, um, looking back, a little risky, but it looks cool.
You won, right?
Yeah, we won.
The difference they always talk about genius and insanity really is just success rate at that point. So, but well done, my friend. Congratulations on that win. We look forward to more highlights in this coming season. And let's see. I'm pulling out my timer. It's time for the lightning round of the Late Night Facecheck, where I have these cards that I have shuffled very poorly, but the goal is to see just how many questions you can answer in 1 minute's time. The timer, will start when I finish reading the first question, and the current record is 14. Are you ready, Kian?
Okay, ready.
All right. Who's your favorite hero?
Imperius.
What hero would you have as a garden statue at your home?
Sonya.
Best non-HOTS Blizzard game?
Overwatch.
Best hero for their own cookbook?
Joanna.
Hero to go to dinner?
Zul.
3 heroes to join you at yoga class?
All of the Vikings.
Best hero aesthetically?
Maltheo.
Best hero's workout buddy?
Tychus.
Most impactful hero?
PLV.
Worst hero, or worst talent, sorry.
Worst talent. Nexus Blades.
Which HOTS map is a theme park?
Braxis.
Favorite neutral camp, no longer in the game?
The boss on Hanamura, old Hanamura.
Your dream comp?
All dive.
All dive and map for an area rug. Oh, there's our timer. So let's see here, my friend. I think you had a pretty good run. Let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You tied Sound from last week, but you're still 1 away from the record. The record's actually tie between 2 people, though it's been so long, I don't even remember who. I will have to go back and watch all of my late night face checks to find it. So, all right. I also miss the old boss on Hanamura, and at least once a year I go and find that video of everybody dying, the Abathurs slapping themselves to death on it in quick match. It's just a great one. I miss old Hanamura, but one thing I would change about the current Hanamura is I would take the current Sentinel boss that looks like Genji and instead replace it with that boss scaled down to fit the space, and I think it would just be much cooler.
Would be. I actually never got to play old Hanamura. I started playing after that.
Oh.
So the only reason I said it is because that video where everyone died, I love it so much. I watch it all the time.
Now, my next question for you is concerning your Sonya garden statue. Is it like a Wrath spin to win Sonya? Is it mid leap? Is it the crater all around? How would you design your Sonya statue?
I would say it would be a fountain, right? The crater, and then the walls of that crater would be containing the water, and then she'd be throwing a spear. Why not?
Nice. So she'd have the spear like midway about to release it, and there's the crater with the fountain water. I guess is the water coming out of the spear or?
Yeah, why not?
Uh, well, I
It
think
didn't really go through my head when I answered.
that's okay. That's what the deep dive is for, is to then put you more on the spot and get some critical thinking going. But I think it would be great. Well, my friend, thank you for being here. It is your time. You can give any sort of shout outs or Nexomania taunts that you like. The floor is yours.
Well, shout outs to you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Shout outs to Trax. Trax got me basically playing NGS, and I've had so much fun. Shout outs to just NGS. We all know the state of the game, and if you're still here, it means that you care and you have fun, and I think that's the most important thing. So shout outs to everyone. Shout outs to all the casters. Shout outs to Clouded Minds. Shout outs to our opponents. Without you, we wouldn't have anyone to beat.
That's right. And one more shout out to Clouded Minds while you're holding that mug.
Shout outs to Clouded Minds.
Look at that beautiful merch coming from the Clouded Minds group. So, well, Kian, thank you so much for being here. My friends, that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks so much for being here for the Late Night Facecheck. My name is Valcomer. Mind the bushes out there, and for my traditional sign off, hi, Mom.